All right, YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Jarice back at it with another episode of
Real talk.
And yes, I see the shadow behind me because of my green screen and my lights, but I'm just gonna record because reasons. So, today's topic is gonna be Miss Maegan Hall, and in case you don't remember Maegan Hall and you're in the background like...
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I will get you up to speed. So, in case you don't remember, Maegan Hall is the white woman who was allegedly sexually harassed by all these black men in the Laverne County Police Department. But let's take a look at the news clip.
Shocking findings of sexual misconduct rocked the Laverne Police Department. 5 officers and the police chief all fired.
And notice that 4 out of the 5 men in question just happen to be black men.
Wow.
But I guess it's offensive when you call black men super predators or sexual deviants, right? Even though we know that, well, if you're honest, you know that black men have the least amount of discipline out of all the races of men, but yeah.
One of those officers, Maegan Hall, became the face of the scandal and the target of nationwide ridicule, and she's now filed a federal lawsuit.
Tonight, in an exclusive interview with our Nick Barris, Hall describes a toxic workplace behind closed doors and how sexual misconduct spiraled out of control.
Maegan Hall was 24 years old when she was hired as an officer here at the Laverne Police Department 2 years ago.
Oh, her brain wasn't fully developed.
Her plan was to have a career in law enforcement. She now knows that dream is likely over.
I remember while interviewing for the position at Laverne Police Department, they described the environment as a family. However, while I was aspiring to protect my community, the Laverne Police Department was not protecting me.
By now,
Stop it. Get some help.
I'm gonna hold my commentary till the end.
now most of the country knows what happened. Hall, 4 other officers, and the police chief were fired last month. This after 2 separate investigations found that Hall engaged in sexual activity and/or shared intimate photos and videos with several male officers. The chief and 2 sergeants were among those implicated. Now Hall and her attorney, Wesley Clark, are suing those 3 supervisors and the city in federal court for civil rights violations.
Maegan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted. She was looked at as a piece of meat.
Of course!
To be sexualized and exploited.
Since the story broke, Hall, the lone female officer fired and only woman on the second shift, became a target nationwide for sexual jokes and taunting.
I received harassing and threatening messages on my phone daily. I felt like I'd been terrorized.
And yes, now she is suing. No criminal charges have been filed in the case. Hall knows there are those suing.
Daily. I felt like I'd been terrorized.
What do you mean by that?
So because people were making memes about you, you felt terrorized, gotcha.
And yes, now she is suing. No criminal charges have been filed in the case.
No criminal charges.
Hall knows there are those who will say she was a consenting adult who willingly participated in sexual antics in violation of police department policy, and that now she wants to blame others, including one sergeant who targeted her early on.
Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
At least there's some people out there that have common sense and know that she was a consenting adult who voluntarily offered herself to these men, thinking that everything was going to be honky-dory, and then when everything got exposed, now she's the victim. So let's give her a round of applause. I love good old white women tears. And then we also got to give a slow clap for the 3 dumbass Negroes that fell for this freaking subpar female. So let's give them a round of applause also. But this is why certain women get to get away with saying that black men will smash any bottom of the barrel white woman and smash any female with a pulse because of this right here. I'm not talking to this chick. She's not cute. She's not physically attractive. I would not feel inclined to approach her, and she looks like she has the personality of a wet noodle. But she has a vagina, so black men were approaching her, so it is what it is.
I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no. I get it. But my response to them is that I did say no, and he wouldn't take it for an answer.
Well, if you said no and he wouldn't take it for an answer, you should have been like,
Oh, hell no!
but anyway.
Eventually, I gave in from pressure.
So it's not as easy to say she could have just said no.
She did say no on several occasions. Miss Hall tried to get out of this relationship, and she was not allowed to.
Hall concedes she participated under duress. She's not saying she was raped, but adds that the salacious details made public of sex on the job put her alone center stage and do not tell the whole story.
They isolated me, they shunned me, they accused me, and they blamed me for becoming a victim.
Hall suffered from depression to the point of considering suicide and at one point was hospitalized. She felt trapped.
My supervisors worked together to take advantage of my vulnerabilities and my mental health. And they used it for their gain and sexual pleasure.
And that included the police chief, Chip Davis. The independent investigation found he was aware of what was going on.
Oh man, he looks like a mature old black man. I'm sure that the OGs would tell me to listen to him for life advice, right? The OGs and the old heads, you know, he's probably married too. So yeah, that's the problem with y'all youngsters. We just need to listen to the OGs when the OGs are getting caught up like this. Listen to the OGs when they get caught up in bullshit like this. It makes perfect sense.
Going on, and even received intimate photos and videos of Hall.
Who do you even turn to when the chief of police is sexually harassing you? How could I get justice when the entire system, including the chief, not only condoned such behavior, but participated in it? I was lost and I felt alone. I had no one to turn to, and I had nowhere to go.
Hall now realizes her career in law enforcement is likely over, and she knows those ugly memes on social media will remain forever. Her reputation sullied.
No woman should ever have to endure this type of abuse.
Yeah, and no woman will ever endure this type of abuse if she doesn't spread her legs open for her entire co-working staff. So, yeah, that's kind of awkward.
What happened to me during my employment at Laverne's police department, it should never happen to anyone.
Hall now hopes to put what happened to her here at the Laverne PD behind her. She is married and says she has a strong family support.
So she's married and she's messing around with 3 other individuals.
Oh my God! Wow!
Shout out to her husband, because I know he has to be in the back like...
You serious?
Because he's probably a liberal white dude, and now they're sitting in a 5... You know what, I'm not going to spoil it.
Support system, and says that it was her faith that helped carry her through the turmoil. Nick
Really,
Barris,
nigga?
News Channel 5.
Nick, thank you. Hall's federal lawsuit names 2 supervising sergeants, the police chief, and the city of Laverne. The city has not responded to the lawsuit.
All right, so you seen that, you heard that. Now let's fast forward to 3 days ago.
Eddie, you may remember the eyebrow-raising sex scandal that rocked the Laverne Police Department. We first told you about the mess in January of last year. The shocking details sounded like a bad movie script, made national news, as 5 officers and then the police chief all fired.
What? What the fuck?
The city then found itself facing a lawsuit filed by a former female officer. Well, tonight word comes the city has settled the case with a hefty payment. Our Nikki Hauser heard directly from city leaders.
After that scandal, former police officer Maegan Hall sued the
Now, see, this is a white girl that I would feel inclined to approach.
city. Then tonight, over a year later, the city of Laverne held a special meeting in which they decided they would pay out Maegan Hall $500,000, officially ending that lawsuit.
Motion to approve as it is written here.
It took less than 5 minutes.
No.
Alderman Hobbs?
Aye.
Alderman Hobbs?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dunn?
Aye.
Motion passes.
For the Laverne city leaders to say yes, they'll pay former police officer Maegan Hall $500,000.
What message does that send to all the other employees?
Alderman Dennis Waldron was the only dissenting vote.
He's sending a message out to everybody in the world, said, come to Laverne, sue Laverne because they're going to settle.
At least this guy has enough intelligence to where he's thinking about this like, oh God, now that we did this, we got to worry about
Another one.
The city as a whole now agreeing to pay Hall, but denying any admission of liability.
It's hard being in the minority.
This
in the minority as a white woman in America. That's funny.
after the story of the Laverne police sex scandal exploded early last year, revealing a pattern of inappropriate activity inside the department. Reports detail sex between officers on duty and on city property, intimate photos and videos shared among officers, and silence from the police chief, who was clued into what was happening.
Convince her to engage in sexual activity that she didn't want to.
Hall and her lawyer claim it was a hostile work environment that groomed her.
While I was aspiring to protect my community, the Laverne Police Department was not protecting me.
She, along with 4 other officers and the police chief,
the 4 brilliant black men and the Hispanic-looking dude who's probably Negro adjacent enough, if we're being completely honest. He probably walks around the police station going, "What up, my nigga," just like the rest of them.
were fired. Hall talked to News Channel 5 about the affair early last year.
I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no. I get it.
You could have.
But my response to them is that I did say no,
No, you didn't.
and he wouldn't take it for an answer. Eventually, I gave in from pressure.
Wednesday's vote ends both Hall's lawsuit against the city and against 3 of her former superiors in the department.
We have improved a lot.
As the city still works to rebuild trust in the public eye. Nikki Hauser, News Channel 5.
Thank you, Nikki. The city says their insurance provider will pay the $500,000 to Hall. They say it's a gross settlement, including court costs, attorney's fees, and expenses. To be clear, they say it's not taxpayer money, and the city adds that they still deny any admission of liability. Thank you, Katie.
Of course!
But what did we learn here, ladies and gentlemen? What did we learn here? If you're a black man, be careful out here, because guess what? These white chicks, they out here and they devious, because a lot of these dudes think, oh, I'm gonna just get me a white woman. Yeah, shout out to Jonathan Majors and these 3 idiots who thought, oh, just because I'm messing with a white chick, she won't do anything to me and there will be no repercussions anywhere down the road. You are a freaking idiot, and this is a Western American, well, I wouldn't say American culture, but this is a Western problem. So if you live in the United States, the UK, Australia, and any Western country, you are likely to be susceptible to this kind of fuckery. And it is what it is, and I won't feel sorry for you if you get caught up in this bullshit. So, with that, I have been your boy Jerice, back with another episode of Real Talk. And, yeah, I got my Cash App in the bottom right corner, so if I made you laugh, if I provided you some insight, if you learned something today, hit the Cash App at Jerice0220. Don't forget the $sign in front of it. And if these videos actually start bringing in enough income via YouTube views or Cash Apps or whatever the case may be, I'll start posting on the regular. So it is what it is, but I've been your host Jerice with another episode of Real Talk. I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. I'm out.
Before you go, you need to tap into your mind. Open up your skull, stop living life blind. Before you go, you need to tap into your mind. Open up your skull, stop living life blind. Before you go, you need to tap into your mind. Open up your skull, stop living life blind. Before you go, you need to tap into your mind. Open up